That's right. This is another, aka the first, episode of Rich Answers. My name is Richard, and I will be answering your questions. Questions about Japan, questions about living overseas, questions about relationships, about food, how many regulation tennis balls you can fit in your mouth before it's illegal, exercise, workout, can I kick myself into space by accident if I'm training my legs too hard? These kind of very important questions. I'm your man. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and rightfully so. This is the first episode, and I'm probably a creep. So let me just... Yes, I have a question. What is this? Wow, okay. Thanks for your questions, me with a finger for a mustache. Alright, let's just answer the first one. How about... Where is this? Why is this? More questions. That's good. Okay. Well then, how is this? And most importantly, why is this? Please tell me. I need to know. I'm a snooty man. Okay, cool your jets, me. I get it. Has anyone ever told you that you're practically the worst? Oh me. I can't stay mad at you. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, mostly because it's a chance to create something. I'm someone who talks way too much about creating something without actually getting in and doing something. So I want to be able to answer questions with the kind of emotional maturity that each of the question rightfully deserves. If it's highbrow, if it's lowbrow, if it doesn't even have a brow because it's been slapped right off the face. I really want to just be able to engage with people. I want to be able to engage with people that might be like me. They're quite shy, not really forthcoming about doing things, especially on the internet, and especially at this time, you know, with the virus. As an Australian living in Japan, I'm isolated from most of my family. I have some family here, but it's at times like this when I really just want to reach out and engage with people, and this seems like a really, really good opportunity. So I just want you to leave comments below with questions. It can be absolutely anything. I want to just hear it all. I want to answer real dumb stuff. I want to answer real complicated stuff. I'm someone really passionate about mental health and well-being, and I've made a lot of mistakes and a lot of really questionable decisions in the past and somehow made it out alive. It's just about trying to communicate. I just want people to watch so they can ask questions or comment on my answers and give their own opinion. When I had this idea in its conception, I thought, what does the internet like? And number one resounding answer was making fun of me. The second most popular answer was the same as the first, but louder. So I thought, what do I like on the internet? And it's people speaking genuinely and getting dumb, but also just getting in depth on complicated and worthwhile issues. Someone once told me that I had the emotional range of a horse, and I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. For one, horses, they're not particularly responsive when I'm texting them late at night about my issues at work or with relationships and things like that. But sometimes when you stare directly into the eyes of a horse, you can see a universe of emotionality. Well, this first part, anyway, is a visual diary. Give you kind of a glimpse of how things are for me and my experiences here. This is also a good time to say that the continuity in this video will be reckless at best, because I'm having to re-record a lot of things. Here's an interesting fact. I recorded a whole different introduction for this, and I was editing it, and I watched it, and I actually died. So I came back as a ghost with unfinished business to re-record this again. So without any further ado, look at it. So this is all footage taken from around near where my previous job was located. In that recently departed job, I spent a lot of time kind of walking to advertise the school. It was sometimes pretty brutal, but more often, oops, there's my face. More often than not, it was the most peaceful time of my week. This was the last week that I'll be able to do it, and I had some of my best times at work in that peaceful natural beauty. Ooh, and right after I stopped recording this bit, A gang of rocket-powered mega heron jumped out from those bushes right there, and they tried to rob me of my magic chocolate. But luckily I had my anti-heron gloves on and wrestled all 12 of them until the heron police came to take them away for heron crimes. All of this was taken around near where I work, and I genuinely think I'm going to miss it. Let's get to the part no one's been waiting for, the actual questions and answers part. So, because this is the first video, there's no community or viewer questions, which is the real reason I'm doing this. First question's a question that probably a lot of people have, and can kind of be applied to moving anywhere. Yeah, the question is it hard to move to Japan? And is it hard moving overseas? Yes and no. Like, if you're deciding, okay, I want to move overseas in a year's time, compared to I want to move overseas in the next month or two. Do you have a job? Are you in a relationship? Are you renting a house? Do you own a house? Do you live with your parents? How old are you? Those kind of questions are obviously important. The first time I moved, I was 25, moving overseas. I'd travelled overseas a few times before that, and then for various, probably in hindsight not good reasons, because of course it's to do with a girl. When I moved overseas the first time, it was a decision for about 6 months. So let's give ourselves 6 months to prepare for this, and I was preparing with another person, so obviously, of course it made it a lot easier. So things like minimizing what you own in life, trying to cut down things that you don't need, because you can't really take that much if you're like me and you're just going to take whatever you can carry on your back on the plane. Maybe you've got the resources and you can send stuff in advance and you've got somewhere to send it to. Definitely do that, because trying to decide what you can fit into about 25 kilograms or 30 kilograms and then start a new life with. Most people, when they come to Japan, they want to teach English, and predominantly, depending on the company that you teach English with, it'll be within a kaiwa. Usually if they're going to be granting you a visa to work, there's a good chance they'll probably help you find somewhere to live, and if you're like me, you'll end up in one of these. It's what they call a 1K. It's a teeny tiny place, but exactly what you need. If you've got all that sorted before you move, you can send your stuff potentially to that address, or maybe to your work if you can. But my advice is just to cut down on your life stuff, your crap, your junk. Get rid of it. Assume that when you come here, you're going to have to change your lifestyle a bunch anyway. Your routines and habits and interests, they're going to have to change because you're moving overseas. So cut down on your stuff. Most important things, I think, about moving here: learn the language and culture. It's easy for foreigners, especially white foreigners, to just coast by being white and playing the foreigner card, but it's gross. Don't do that. Don't be a person that just sort of floats above the Japanese culture and just sort of cherry picks what you want. Actually invest yourself in ingratiating yourself. Become culturally aware and become culturally engaged. Easiest way to do that is with the language, because you pick up so much of the culture through the language, but also just means that you can properly engage. The amount of people that are bilingual, I mean, in Tokyo, there's a much higher proportion, but the further you go away from Tokyo, the less chance you have of that. In my most recent Eikaiwa job, no one spoke English at all. My Japanese is functional, so I can survive. So if I had none, it would have been brutal. It's just not cool to play the foreigner card. Don't be that person. Don't be the kind of person that comes over here and just takes advantage of the fact that they are treated better because of their race or ethnicity, because that's super gross. It's very not cool. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people that come here to teach English do that. For me, my security lies in, do I have somewhere to work and do I have somewhere to live? And you can sort those before you move. Get those things, so then once you arrive, you'll have your visa, your stability, you'll have your baseline to function, and then you can actually start ingratiating yourself. They say the Aikawa lifespan is about 6 months, because they come, they find that the lifestyle is not what they were expecting. They expected it much to be more like when they holiday over here, and they bail, they jack in the box, right out of here. Be prepared for it to be not quite what you expect, but also be prepared for it to be much more. Because if you do those things, if you establish a safe and stable life environment, you can start just engaging more quickly with the language, with the people, cultural events, food, traveling here. It's the best country to travel locally that I've ever lived in. The actual work will all depend on the kind of school that you go to. Don't take teaching lightly, because fundamentally you are working with human beings as a teacher. You shape some aspect of a young person's life, and if you just treat that like garbage, no, you might have anywhere between 2 and 60 students that you're dealing with every week. So that's 60 human beings in their very formative and young stages, in which they might be interacting with a foreigner for the first time, as was the case with all of my students. This is extremely impactful for them and their parents. Don't just piss that away because you just want to come and live here. Actually enjoy it. Actually find a way to get better at it, and find a way to be meaningful and positively impactful in these kids' lives. You can do the things that you want about living here. You can have that crazy Japanese experience, or the gentle or cultural, or the hopefully not the gross fetishized version, and you can actually do a good thing. Another question I've heard a few times when I've told people that I've lived overseas and have traveled with a significant other at the time is, how do I get my significant other to move overseas with me? And my answer is, don't. You end up in a position where your significant other comes to live with you overseas, the relationship breaks down, then that person potentially is stranded, or if there's any kind of seams in your relationship that you haven't really explored, they're gonna find a way to get filled with ice and explode outwards in a new environment. The only time that you want to move overseas with someone else is if they are fully on board from day one, and it's a mutual idea. A guy who wants to move to Japan, it's like, how do I get my wife or girlfriend to move to Japan with me? People might say, oh, just find out what they would like in Japan and get them to move over here. Incentivizing it might work, but it's still not a good idea, because they have to have their best interests. They have to be moving over here for work as well. They have to have something that they will be doing here as well. A role in a new country can't just be attached to someone else. Don't force someone overseas. Don't don't do it. Don't do it. Don't stop it. Stop it. I can see what you're doing. Stop it. Step away from that person. Don't do it. Do it. Don't do it.
And now, questions from Yahoo.
This might be the best question I've seen. Why is it socially acceptable to eat an apple with one hand, but socially unacceptable to eat an onion with one hand? I guess it's not that it's socially unacceptable to eat an onion so much as it's gross, and then you got that onion breath, and no amount of deep cleaning and power washing your own face off is going to get that onion stink out if you're the kind of person that just raw chomps an onion down on the regs. But also, if you eat with two hands, maybe it's okay. So my happiness for this week, I live here and my brother and my nephew are here, and just spending time in the park playing with my nephew with his little dump truck down the slide was all the happiness I could possibly derive out of a week in which I was moving between jobs with a lot of stressful stuff. So that was awesome. I playing some video games at the moment. Just started Pokemon Shield on the Switch. long time Pokemon guy. So that kind of just brings a childish joy, turns me into a wee little baby when I play it. And it's turning cold, so if I can go outside and feel sort of fresh morning air on my face, taking time, doing a bit of sort of well-being, mindfulness, which is just being aware of your surroundings just in that moment. Taking time, doing a bit of sort of well-being, mindfulness, which is just being aware of your surroundings just in that moment. So that's my happiness this week. I want to thank everyone so much for watching. This is a very strange and surreal thing for me to do, but I'm very happy that I can create something, and I really look forward. So please comment, ask questions about anything, life here in Japan, life living overseas, about onions, about literally anything, video games, workouts, sports, basketball and soccer. I'm super into, food, anything. Make it weird, make it intellectual, make it emotional, give me it all. Please like, tell other people, subscribe, those things. It's not super important, but it just kind of helps create a larger community. Try not to yell at me, but it's the internet's favorite pastime, so go for it. Bye.